What if I told you that understanding this former light heavyweight champion holds the key to unlocking your true potential? Jiri Prochazka is the former light heavyweight champion, modern-day samurai, and all-around wild man. But within this crazy fighting style, crazy hairstyle, and crazy personality lies the secret to uncovering your own inner greatness. At some point in life, everyone feels that spark of potential, that deep down sense that they're capable of doing something extraordinary. But why is it that so few people achieve what they're truly capable of? Abraham Maslow, a psychologist in the 1940s, set out to answer this question and came up with not only the answer, but also the path. After decades of research, Maslow concluded that the ultimate goal of human existence is self-actualization, a fancy way of saying becoming the greatest version of yourself. Maslow theorized that when one does reach their highest potential, they feel deeply fulfilled, but also naturally contribute the most to society. He believed it was our responsibility to become the greatest version of ourselves so that we could help others become their greatest version. Think about the people you're most inspired by. They're operating at their highest potential. If they didn't become all they could become, you would have never heard of them, and they would have never inspired you. But because they did become all they could, they offer you inspiration to do the same. Maslow believed everyone had the potential to be great, and through Jiri Prochazka, I'm going to show you how. Before we dive into Jiri's story, there's one more person I want to introduce. Meet Josh Waitzkin, the former 8-time world chess champion. Chess and MMA are different worlds, yet the journeys of Jiri and Josh reveal a universal truth. No matter the pursuit, the path to fulfilling your potential follows the same fundamental principles. The first of these is the idea of intrinsic motivation. Josh Waitzkin first started playing chess as a kid when he walked through Washington Square Park and saw people playing. He was immediately drawn to the board and felt a strong urge to play. Once he started, he fell in love with the game, and it soon became the center of his life. Jiri's origins as a fighter began in a similar way. As a kid, he was always starting trouble and getting into fights. Over 100 street fights by his own account. It was something he just loved. Intrinsic motivation is doing something for the love of it. In contrast, extrinsic motivation is being driven by the reward or outcome. Both Josh and Jiri were intrinsically motivated. They pursued something they loved, not because they were thinking they could gain something from it. To unlock your full potential, it all starts with intrinsic motivation, doing something you truly love. Could Josh have been an MMA fighter or Jiri a chess player? Maybe. But if they didn't have that deep love for what they were doing, their drive would have faded. You're not looking for something out there. You're first looking for what sparks a feeling inside. For Josh, it was chess. For Jiri, fighting. Your deepest interests and passions aren't random. They're signals. They point toward the unique path only you can walk, the blueprint for your own greatness. But discovering your blueprint isn't enough. You have to walk the path. And that means embracing the inevitable struggles along the way, because mastery isn't built on talent alone. It's ironically built on losing, and losing a lot. After Josh retired from chess, he pursued martial arts and became a world champion there too. He noticed a similar pattern in both chess and martial arts. The ones who lost the most in training were the ones who won the most when it counted. During a chess seminar where he played 40 opponents at once, a man approached him, proudly boasting that his son hadn't lost a game in 2 years. Intrigued, Josh asked the kid if he wanted to play, but the boy refused, the only one in the entire room unwilling to take the challenge. Everyone else jumped at the opportunity to play a world champion, but this kid had built his entire identity around being a winner. To protect that fragile image, he only played against weaker opponents. In doing so, he ensured that when the real test came, when it mattered, he wouldn't be ready. Josh found the same thing to be true in martial arts. When he started doing jiu-jitsu, he found the guys who sought out the easiest sparring rounds, racking up wins in the gym, won the least gold medals when the stakes were high. But paradoxically, the ones who deliberately picked the hardest rounds, who lost the most in training, were the ones who won the biggest tournaments. Investing in loss, Deliberately embracing challenges is the true secret of success. For Jiri, it's less about sparring with people better than him and more about subjecting himself to extreme challenges. This is why Jiri Prochazka pushes himself through 3 days of darkness, 24 hours of shadowboxing, and extreme challenges like training alone in the jungle for months on end. He's investing in loss, choosing difficulty as an opportunity to evolve. In the pursuit of mastery, you don't have to disappear into the wilderness, but you do have to seek discomfort and embrace the struggle that makes you better. And part of getting better is making smaller circles. When Josh observed others learning in both chess and martial arts, he noticed that people often got overwhelmed by vast amounts of information and ended up learning very little. He soon realized that true understanding came from what he called making smaller circles, focusing on smaller, digestible concepts until they were truly mastered. In chess, Josh would spend hours examining how just two pieces interacted with each other, uncovering their nuances and learning which combinations held the most synergy. For Jiri, you could see this principle in action throughout his entire career. While all fighters train to improve, it's extremely evident what Jiri has been working on from fight to fight. After losing to Pereira again, Jiri decided to evolve. Instead of revamping his entire style, he focused on a very specific part of his game that he knew was lacking: his head movement. He was still the wild and dangerous Jiri, but his head movement was on another level. His striking was still as wild as ever in the hill fight, but he refined this very specific part of his game to an extreme degree, to the point that it was the main thing people noticed about this fight. All anyone was talking about was how much his head movement had improved. Instead of trying to change everything at once, he focuses on mastering that one area so completely that the next time you see him, that part of his game is almost unrecognizable. True mastery comes from perfecting one small thing at a time. The mastery of the small leads to the mastery of the whole. And mastery can only be expressed authentically. After honing your craft, the real power comes from expressing it in a way that's uniquely yours. Trying to fit into someone else's mold can kill both your performance and your passion. Take Josh Waitzkin, for example. He started out as a wild, aggressive chess player who thrived in chaos. He loved attacking, forcing complications, and creating chaos on the board. His first coach encouraged this style, and Josh fell in love with the game. But when he outgrew his original coach and moved on to a new mentor, everything changed. His new coach insisted he play ultra defensively, suppressing his instincts. Josh obeyed, but it completely disrupted his natural game. He started losing more, second-guessing himself, and eventually fell out of love with chess entirely. You have to attack your craft as your authentic self. Jiri Prochazka embodies this in fighting. He may be wild and unorthodox, but that's who he is. If a coach forced him into a rigid defensive style, he wouldn't be half the fighter he is today. His greatness comes from embracing his unique nature, not suppressing it.
You thrive in these wild exchanges. That seems to bring out the best in you.
And that's in my nature. Everybody has his own, so I have this one wildness. And sometimes I need to catch some punches to release the true Jiri Prochazka. That's right.
Your highest potential is found in who you truly are. When you say, "I go," you're talking about your body. And when you say, "I think," you're talking about your mind. But when you say, "I am," you're talking about your true essence. Your unique nature is not a flaw, it's your greatest weapon. You're not becoming someone else. You're uncovering and mastering who you've always been. And once you've uncovered yourself, you can get out of your own way and your own mind. Ever heard the phrase, "he's playing out of his mind"? It happens when someone is playing at their very best and it seems to be effortless. This is what it means to get out of your own way, letting go and trusting your instincts. In one of Josh's most intense moments, he found himself in a world championship tiebreaker where this one game would decide who became world champion. The pressure was on, and as the game continued, he felt his anxiety rising. He started to overthink, consumed by the pressure of the moment. But instead of tightening up or forcing a solution, he did something unexpected. He let go. He stopped thinking about how many people were watching him and how much was at stake. Instead, he let himself sink completely into the game, trusting his instincts and the countless hours of practice. He wasn't thinking anymore. He was simply playing. In that moment, Josh fell into a state of flow. His opponent, trapped in calculated thinking, couldn't keep up with his free-flowing creativity. Josh's authentic genius was able to flow through him, and with it, he won the world championship. Josh later realized that his best victories didn't come from forcing every move. They came when he stopped trying so hard and let the game unfold on its own. It wasn't about calculating every move, it was about being in the game. He noted that only when you were in the present moment could you enter the zone. He couldn't think about the past or the future. He had to be fully immersed in the here and now. That's where mastery had the chance to reveal itself. Josh had mastered chess, but he finally understood that his true opponent was himself. The anxious thoughts, the pressure, the fear of making a mistake, the need for perfection, these were the real obstacles. Jiri Prochazka shares a similar belief. There is no opponent, only ourselves.
It's all about that, because there is no opponent. There is just this moment. I'm everywhere.
This is the essence of mastery, letting go and being fully present, allowing our true abilities to shine through. For Josh, when he let go, trusted his instincts, and stopped overthinking, his mastery emerged effortlessly. It wasn't about forcing the right moves, it was about getting out of his own way. And it's the same with Jiri Prochazka. In his fight with Dominic Reyes, Jiri landed a highlight reel spinning back elbow. He later explained that he was in a state of flow and never even practiced the move. His body just knew it was available in that moment.
I didn't train that, never.
That's crazy.
And just follow.
You just saw it.
It
was just there.
I just following the flow, following the moment, because
Right.
there is a one elbow. Okay, you have the, and it's going really slow. You have a second.
Here it is.
Once the unconscious has absorbed the techniques and strategies, mastery becomes a matter of stepping aside, allowing them to flow naturally through us, shaped by our own unique expression. The best players aren't obsessing about moves or strategies. They're fully immersed in the game, grounded in the moment. The moves come naturally, without force. They aren't consumed by what's next or the pressure of the outcome. They're just living each moment, fully engaged in the here and now. Jiri sees this same truth in his fights. Mastery isn't just about relentless practice behind closed doors. It's revealed in the moment, through the deep presence that allows you to let go, trust your instincts, and let mastery unfold naturally. Maslow believed that the highest goal of a human being was self-actualization, the full realization of one's potential, and the path to becoming all you can be is laid out here. Internal drive leads to skill development, which leads to authentic expression, which leads to flow, which leads to mastery. When you love something, you keep showing up. The more you show up, the better you get. The better you get, the more freely you express yourself. And when you fully express yourself, you have the ability to enter flow and become one with what you do. In flow, you operate at the edge of your potential, unlocking new levels of mastery. You weren't made to fit in, you were built to stand out. There's something in this world that only you can do in a way that no one else ever could. That's not a coincidence. That's your purpose. And if you want to learn more about finding your purpose, check out this video here. I will see you in the next one. Peace.